Hi, guys. Welcome to the third series of the Fantastic Talk. I'm very excited and thank you for the amazing response you have given to the talks. More than 10,000 people have watched our talks, and last time we had almost 2,500 people watching it live. So, thank you for making it a phenomenal success. And I hope that we are being able to add value. My whole concept here is that there are so many exciting people out there, who have got a tremendous knowledge on wealth creation, who have got an amazing heart of gold, and who are there to help you with your journey. All you have to do is treat your business or your finance as separately. At the end of the day, one mistake all of us make is that we don't understand that the business we our business is a separate entity, and we as an individual, as an investor, is a separate entity. And the moment we separate these two, we can actually go ahead and create wealth. So so there is Sanjeev Bajaj as an investor, and there is a Sanjeev Bajaj as a person who runs Bajaj Capital. Most of us, what we do is that we keep all our wealth in our company, and what happens is that anything goes up also comes down. We live in a cyclical economy. So what will happen? Our business will go up, our wealth increases, and we think, oh, this is the only way to invest. But then some time or other there will be a down cycle too, and when then down cycle happens, all our wealth goes down because we don't have any personal wealth. So guys, it is important that you create what we call a second income, that is an income outside your business. And this is what wealth creation is all about. So where you set up and you look at it, even if it's a small portfolio, the boond boond karke sagar banta hai. So you don't have to make a big portfolio on day one, but you have to start. And this is very, very important that you start on this concept, and you start investing. And when you start investing, look as an investor, that investment itself is a company. What kind of returns are you able to generate? What kind of risk are you able to take? As this movie on Harshad Mehta scam gave a very nice saying, which is old saying, but अगर जहाँ पे रिस्क है वहीं पे इश्क है. So there used to be a saying, where there is no risk, there was no return. The whole concept of this stock market started in 1600s. And we have all heard about East India Company and others. These were companies which were going out, taking voyages which were highly risky. And they knew that even if one voyage went wrong, if they had only their own money, they would go down. So they started selling shares in those voyages, where you could buy a share, and as per your share, you would get your share of the profit. So this is how this whole concept started. And this is how it has been done. So point is, guys, and this is we are right now in an amazing bull run. And when there is a bull run, everybody wants to buy. And when there is a bear run, when the markets are falling, everybody wants to sell. But to make money, you have to remain invested in the market. You have to choose the right people who are there to guide you, who are able to pick stocks for you. Yes, we can pick stocks ourselves also, but only a selected few stocks, because doing research is a very tremendously difficult thing. It's a full-time thing. So we need to have amazing stock pickers. And today I have one of my favorite stock pickers and an amazing human being with me, Saurabh Mukherjee of Marcellus Investment. He's written a lot of books on coffee can investing, how to pick up winners. He knows how to pick the right companies, and the right winners for us. And we are grateful to have people like that in our life who can do it for us. And if we have to pay them a little fees, why not? At the end of the day, as they say, if you throw peanuts, you'll get monkeys. And those of us who are professionals, we want to be paid a right price. So any professional wants to be paid a right price, and he's one guy who deserves the amount of money we spent on him. So without further ado, let me invite Saurabh Mukherjee of Marcellus Investment to come and join us. Thank you, Saurabh, for taking
Yes, sir.
out time.
Yes, sir. My
I was sharing with everyone, like, you are one of my favorite human beings. And I reading about you, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you perform. You're a amazing human being and an amazing stock picker. Because I think
thank you.
the concept of doing the right thing, my father used to teach me that, when I used to ask him what should I do in business, he said,
Hmm.
sell to yourself what you would sell to me, or sell to only what you would sell to your own retired father. So he said, look, one, you have to respect your client. You have to assume he's not going to earn the money again. you have to value his money, and you have to buy what you would buy for yourself. And he's saying mistakes are a part of the game. It's not that all calls can never be right, but as long as your intention was right, then there is nothing wrong with that. So Saurabh,
Right.
now going on to the questions to know about more about you, whenever I read about you or I, hear about you, one of the things is that you're really inspired by your grandparents. So can we just understand that story a little bit, and why did that happen, and what is it all about?
So it's a very interesting question, Sanjeev ji. Nobody's ever asked me this before, and all credit to you and your research team for spotting this. My 2016 book, Unusual Billionaires, is dedicated to my paternal grandparents, Nirmal Mukherjee and Shefalika Mukherjee. And the reason for that is simple, right? As I grew up, I realized that these people were refugees in India at one level. They migrated from what is currently Bangladesh, became East Pakistan in 1947. So January 47, my grandmother migrated from what is currently Bangladesh. It's actually Joshore in Bangladesh today. They came to Kolkata. My grandfather at that age was roughly the age I am today, right? This was a man who had been a zamindar all his life. He'd never practiced law before. He taught himself to become a lawyer at the age of 44, 45, and built a life for himself in Kolkata, built a life for his family in Kolkata. And interestingly, my father, when he was roughly my age, migrated to the UK in '91, right? And I saw my father's life in a way repeat my grandfather's life at a fairly advanced stage. My parents migrated to a new country and built their life from scratch. So I've seen the effort it takes to build something out of nothing. I wasn't obviously there when my grandparents built their life, but I've heard stories from my dad, from my bua, how hard it was to build a life from nothing in Kolkata. I remember Kolkata in 1947. There are thousands and actually millions of immigrants pouring in from Bangladesh, pouring in from East Pakistan, right? To build a life in the midst of that in a country which is itself becoming independent was a big deal. And similarly, I saw my parents build their life from scratch in '91. So those experiences were a big part of my growing up. And hence, when I wrote Unusual Billionaires, I felt I should dedicate it to the people whose lives have been an inspiration for myself. And hence, Unusual Billionaires is dedicated to Nirmal Mukherjee and Shefalika Mukherjee.
Yeah, really amazing. And how life can suddenly change, and how people have the ability to bounce back. It is
Absolutely
phenomenal. As long as you don't give up hope, you are focused. So Saurabh, also tell us about your journey. So many people want to be in your position. So many people want to be a fund manager. So how did you end up reaching here? What did you do right? So how did your career start, and how did you end up reaching where you are?
So look, I mean, at one level, I'm at many levels actually. I'm just a normal middle class son of middle class parents. So my parents migrated from Delhi in '91. So ironically, 3 months before the Indian economy was opened up by Manmohan Singh ji in July '91, the famous new economic policy. 3 months before that, we migrated to the UK. I went to a local school, then I went to the London School of Economics. I worked after LSE. I worked for 3-4 years, learning how the world of business operates. So I worked as a management consultant for what was called Anderson Consulting, and then the name was changed to Accenture. But बैठे बैठे वहाँ पे एक business का idea आया. So in 2003, a friend of mine and I, we opened a business called Clear Capital. That's when I started doing what I do now. That was our first foray into the stock market. So we started we started advising British families on the UK small cap stock market. And as luck would have it, the company did very well. We benefited from that bull market, 2003, 4, 5, 6. Jabardast bull market chala. We benefited big time. If you ask me, if you'd met me when I was 30 years old in 2006, I would have told you I've achieved everything in life. The company is profitable. I am famous in the UK. I'm making good money, and this is it. इससे ज़्यादा life में कुछ हो नहीं सकता. And honestly, in 2006, as a 30-year-old, I thought this is it. सब कुछ life में perfect है. January 2006, however, we sat and did some maths, and we realized that the British stock market is going to blow up, right? The financial system is going to blow up. So all of 2006, right? All of 2006, all of 2007, all of 2007, I'm sorry, not 2006, all of 2007, we got our clients to exit their British holdings, right? We did detailed research for which we became famous in 2007 as to which banks, which NBFCs will blow up in the UK. I remember by March, April 2007, there used to be fights to get into a meeting with us on discussing the British financial system, right? अंग्रेज लोग लड़ रहे थे एक दूसरे के बीच में कि मीटिंग में कौन बैठेगा. My point was, और एक चेयर ले लो, लड़ाई मत करो. हमारे देश में जहाँ पे रहते हैं ऐसे मुद्दे पे कोई लड़ता नहीं है. Anyway, end of 07 we realized that this is not just a British thing. The global financial system will actually blow up. So early 08 we put Clear Capital, the company we had created, we put that company up for sale. Have to confess, we're very lucky in finding a buyer. And on 10th May 2008, we got paid for selling the company, and that evening we migrated to India. So that was how 13 years ago now I ended up coming to the same neighborhood in Bombay where I now stay. And it spent a couple of years learning about India, meeting promoters, understand how some promoters build great companies, whereas many other promoters just loot the company and loot the banking system. And that is how our fraud accounting, forensic accounting approach got developed. Then 2010, Ambit Capital hired me to build their institutional equities business. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot there. Subsequently, they asked me to build their wealth management business and their asset management business. And I spent 8 very happy years in Ambit, learning lots, traveling around the country, traveling around the world. I think 2011 to 2015, I think pretty much every year, I probably took 400 flights a year. And whilst it was physically tough, it was very exciting. I learned a lot. 2016 Unusual Billionaires was published, and that was when I actually realized how much India was changing. Within 2 weeks of us publishing Unusual Billionaires, it became a national bestseller, right? I remember Penguin running out of the first print in 3 days. They were stunned. I was also stunned. And when Unusual Billionaires started selling well, people started calling me up and saying, "Isko portfolio bana do. Isko portfolio bana do." And that's when it struck me that a simple approach to investing, where you just look at high quality companies, use metrics like ROC and revenue growth, that can actually be very powerful. So 2018, we published Coffee Can Investing, a book co-written by myself. That also has gone on to become, if you go on Amazon, you'll see it's become the largest selling business book on investing, written by a Indian person. Because one very peculiar thing I saw when I came to India was Indians read American books on investing, and I never quite understand that. Right? It's like sitting in Hazrat Nizamuddin station with the London transport timetable. Right? The train ain't gonna come unless you read an Indian book on investing. No? So Coffee Can Investing went on to become a bestseller. By 2018, right, I'd spent a decade in India. My wife and I discussed that it was good fun to live in India, but our kids were getting older. And I was also missing them. And if you take 400 flights a year, even the few days you're at home, you're completely physically dead. So I decided that it was time to, for a new phase in my life where I stepped back, took a little bit more time to read, to think, spend time with the family. And that's when the idea of building Marcellus came. This was 3 years ago. We literally through the online process, we have incorporated the company. A lot has become, actually last 3-4 years, a lot of aspects of starting a business have actually become relatively straightforward. So setting up a company, applying for a PMS license, almost all of that was online. And thanks to the authorities, 2.5 years ago, we opened our shutter. And thanks to support from people like you, Sanjeev, today we are approaching $1 billion of assets under our care. And with the grace of our supporters, thanks to our supporters like yourself and your clients, hopefully we'll be able to participate in India's progress over the next decade as Indians financialize their wealth.
No, you've done a fantastic job. Yeah. See, at the end of the day, nothing takes away merit. And the reason you're at $1 billion, and I'm sure you're going to grow, is because your heart is right. You're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to give the right picks. And you're trying to find the ethical stocks. So, when we get into your investment philosophy, I really like, how you differentiate between ethical and non-ethical companies. And guys, for everybody on this chat, we will get into the investments. We will get into the markets and what is happening and what to invest. But before that, we want to humanize this talk. We want you to understand what Saurabh is all about, to a certain level, what I am all about, because today is not my day. But Saurabh, I resonated a lot with what you said. And one thing very interesting for me as an individual and a business owner is always about finding the right people. Okay, so I am quite excited to find out that how did Ambit discover you in 2008? Because the right. So how did they capture it? I really want to, and this is actually you are going to learn a lot from it. I am going to learn a lot from it. 2008, Saurabh Mukherjee wasn't known in India, and it would have been some amount of bet. So how did you come across them? How did they come across with you? And how did they spot that this guy is going to be a winner? That would be an interesting story for us to know.
So ठीक है, you're asking lots of very interesting questions, and let me answer them as candidly as I can without giving any secrets away. So you're right, Sanjeev. When we came to India in 2008, obviously nobody knew us. We barely knew anybody in Mumbai, right? Because my other two colleagues who were involved in setting it up, none of us are native Mumbaikars. So first thing that was interesting that happened was in November 2008, Lehman Brothers के blow up के 1 महीने बाद, November 2008, we published a forensic accounting report for the small clientele we then had, saying this is one simple way. We were also learning, but we provided a very simple framework for doing forensic accounting. And we put the report out. I don't think anybody read it. I don't think anybody knew us. Nobody read it. Then what happened was in December 2008, Satyam acquired a company called Metas. और हमारा जो basic forensic framework था, in that basic forensic framework, Metas was number 2 fraud in the whole of the country. मतलब सबसे largest fraud also went bust later, but it was a epic fraud, Metas as per our forensic framework. So as soon as I saw that, I told my colleagues, यहाँ पे कुछ peculiar हो रहा है. Satyam's accounting score is not so bad, but Metas is a fraud company, and the two are merging. So around 10th, 11th December 2008, Sanjeev, we wrote a note saying this deal, Satyam Metas deal, looks very dodgy, right? And I think maybe 50 people perhaps read that note, right? उस ज़माने में it was hard to track. We used to mail it out, पता नहीं लोग पढ़ते भी थे या नहीं. Then 8th January 2008, Raju came on TV and said, I have done all these things. I've ridden a tiger, he said, no? So after that, for around 7 days, media channel after media channel came for interviews. So London में Economist magazine में हमारा नाम आ गया, हमने सब हमारी accounting analysis आ गई. So at that juncture, a famous fund manager in Bombay, he's still famous. He was famous then. He's even more famous today. He called me up कि भैया कौन हो तुम? आके चाय पियो हमारे साथ. So we went from where I live, northern Bombay के suburbs. We went to Nariman Point and met this famous fund manager. So I explained to him how we figured out that Satyam Metas was a dodgy deal. So he asked us to do some work for him on accounting fraud, which we did. And then he introduced us to a friend of his, right? So his friend is a man called Alok Vajpayee. So Alok came to meet me in where I live in Bombay, in Powai. And we spoke for 3-4 hours. That's the first time I met him. So Alok said, Saurabh, I'll introduce you to someone. And that's when Alok introduced me to Ashok Wadhwa Sahab of Ambit. And Ashok Wadhwa Sahab is a very astute reader of personalities, right? I didn't know at that time when I first met him, but as I learned with him doing hundreds of meetings over 2000, so the 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 period, Ashok Wadhwa can figure someone out in 20 minutes. So एक घंटा हमने बात किया, and that's when he decided that he wanted to hire me. I did a little bit of research. I didn't know much about Bombay then, and we decided that we'll join Ambit. So that's how Ambit happened. Some research, some publicity, then a fund manager, and then an introduction to Ashok Wadhwa.
No, it's an inspiration to all the business owners that how you have to be open to looking at the right people. And if somebody introduces you to someone, you have to be open to that, and how you have to be spotting people, who are moving and shaking, especially the youngsters. And, there is somebody who said, if anybody wants a good CFP, let me know. Yes, if you are good and you are confident about that, please do approach me or Saurabh. I think we are all looking at good people because, a good organization is all about good people. And The whole purpose here is to motivate people. So, Saurabh, before we get into I wanted to understand about unusual billionaires and I wanted to understand about coffee can investing. How would you recommend? Should we first get into these books and the philosophy, or do you want to show your presentation first and then we get into that?
So, Sanjeev, if you don't mind, because I don't have a full gauge as to how much the audience knows about what we do, right? Maybe it'll be helpful if I just set the foundation, right? If you give me 10 minutes, I'll set the foundation for how we think about investing. And uske baad, happy to get into the books and the details of how we think. Because otherwise, kya hota hai? हाँ जी, बोलिए.
No, I have understood. So I'm saying perfect. But before we get into that, I also want to show people a video where you said कि AC के कमरों में बैठ के कंपनियां का पता नहीं लगता. So before we go ahead, so team, if you can play.
कुछ खास महंगा नहीं है, लो कॉस्ट या नो कॉस्ट पे मिल जाता है रिसोर्स, बट वो पढ़ के दिमाग लगाने की जरूरत है. जैसे आपकी किताब, आपके बुक शेल्फ में देख रहा हूँ, कुछ कमाल की किताबें हैं. उस प्रकार की किताबें पढ़नी होती है. उसके साथ साथ एनुअल रिपोर्ट पढ़ना होता है. और तीसरी चीज, जाके सड़कों में घूमना होता है, फैक्ट्री में जाके बात करनी होती है, हिंदुस्तान का अंदाजा लगाना होता है. एयर कंडीशन कमरे में ज्यादा कुछ हो नहीं पाता.
So, Saurabh, before we get into that, so सड़कों में कैसे घूमते हो? How do you enter a company? So how did you go about doing that research, about understanding about companies and all? Just tell us a little bit about that.
So this was part of that 5-6 year period, right, where I said I was taking 400 flights a year. So one of the things we realized slowly, and I have to confess, ये धीरे-धीरे दिमाग में घुसा, that when you go and meet a promoter, it's useful, but obviously the promoter is not going to tell you the full secret of how he built a great company, right? Especially the most relevant parts of his competitive advantage, वो दूसरों को समझाएगा नहीं. So we said the way to get around this is meet distributors or dealers of the company, right? अगर retail setup होगा तो distributor, wholesaler, distributor, dealer होगा. Especially meet wholesalers, distributor, dealers who've been with the company for 20-30 years, because they would have seen the full development of the company, right? And thanks to LinkedIn, ये ढूंढ के निकालना उतना मुश्किल नहीं है, और right. Second thing we realized was the other aspect to do is meet ex-employees of a company, meet management consultants who provide advice to the company, and basically surround the company with 10 different perspectives. Now, because of COVID, you and I are having candid chats on video calls, but in the pre-COVID era, if you really want to get the real insight from a distributor or an ex-employee, you would have to go and have a cup of chai in Gurgaon or Hyderabad or Bhubaneswar, jahan pe bhi, right? And as we saw it, that these discussions are so valuable that 10,000, 20,000 rupees spending up and down on flights and hotels is actually small compared to the amount of insight you can get and amount of wealth you can create. So that's how the tradition arose, that especially and the younger folks in Marcellus are now doing it. Hamare do yuva analysts, they spend their weekend in Lucknow researching a whole bunch of companies. And so if you go to a place like Lucknow, which is the center of the distribution setup for UP, you can get insights on a good, say if you work hard over Saturday, Sunday, you can get insights on 6-7 companies, right? But you have to go prepared with thoughtful questions, rather than asking the dealer माल कितना बिक रहा है, उसको पूछोगे तो वो बकवास ही सुनाएगा. You have to go with thoughtful questions on how long have you worked with the company, how has the company changed in that period. So this approach of doing research, which is don't sit in a office and stare at a spreadsheet or the PE multiple, उससे कुछ पैसा नहीं बनता honestly. Go out there, meet distributors, dealers. If you can't go anywhere, at least go to the ones in Bombay, right? And with air travel, airfares now relatively cheap, were it not for COVID, the young analysts in our office would also be taking, if not 400 flights a year, साल में 100 flights की budgeting तो करके रखते हैं.
No, I resonate with that. Today we live in a world of paper tigers. हम इधर बैठ के, और let me call digital tigers. We sit down and we read the reports and we try to come out with our analysis without actually getting into the physical. Let me share a story. When I started my own internship, I had zero idea about stock research. So I was working for this UK fund, and by chance, I thought I was joining another company, and they were slightly scared because they thought my father was a competitor. So it was,
Right.
so they put me on along with the fund, ki theek hai. And that fund didn't have any guy. So I was his only guy. So, so one thing that he gave me a lot of importance, and like whole UK concept of an employee is much different than an Indian employee.
Hanji.
India employees are treated like, another person. We can have dime a dozen. But in a UK, if you get an employee, then the guy was so excited. The fund manager was so excited to have me. And then he gives me a checklist. He says, we are going to do infrastructure and cement projects. Ye checklist hai, and we have to go and check. And I want you to go and check. So, I said, yeah, sure, yeah, why not? I will go and check. I didn't realize that most of the cement projects are bloody middle of nowhere. At that time, there was no hotel. Itne machhar kaate. So, pehli baar to main chala gaya. Then I realized that, yeah, there's something amazing. Next time, I took him with me. I said,
Right.
come, you have to realize. But,
Right.
kudos to him. We ended up visiting 10, 15, and we did that. We went to the dealers. We saw the quality of the plants. What was the quality of the machinery they were using? I have to say, it was such a thorough fund. And I made my first portfolio then. And it has given me a fantastic, because we were able to actually select the truly great companies, because, it is all about the quality. It is all about the processes and the whole checklist. So, so beyond these paper tigers, I resonate with you. But today, to get people who are actually going to go out, visit, understand, do it on the ground is going to be a difficult task.
Marcellus, anybody who wants to rise in Marcellus, they have to, they have to wear out their shoe leather, walking the high streets of India. There are no marks for sitting in the office and enjoying AC.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people who are interested in joining Marcellus or Bajaj Capital. So please understand, no pain, no gain. So at the end of the day, today we want to achieve everything without putting in. And, for me also, kudos to me. Maybe, at that time, I actually was able to do it. So those 6 months actually, and but on a private note, after 6 months, I actually got scared. Next time he said, yeah, infrastructure projects karenge. So, I saw the list of it, the infrastructure projects were, and that actually broke me. We were at that time, we were the height of this thing, and he wanted me to go to Jammu Kashmir. He wanted me to go to this, somewhere in Himachal, somewhere in Assam. So I told him, I said, buddy, either you have to increase, I can't do it in the intern salary. So either you need to pay me a big amount of, because, I can't even imagine the mosquitoes I'll face in those areas. So Saurabh, I know a lot of people would be very excited to know more about you and more about Marcellus. So if you can just tell us about yourself and maybe take us through the presentation, and then we get into the coffee can investing and your other concepts.
Will do. So I'll just take 10 minutes to present our style of investing, and just bear with me as I get this fired up. So our style of investing actually is extremely simple, and many of you would have heard me say this before in other webinars. It remains simple. It was always simple. We just do three things. We look for companies with clean accounts. Secondly, we make sure that beyond being clean, these companies are allocating capital well. And thirdly, we make sure that these are companies with high barriers to entry, or in other words, these are monopoly franchises, right? So teen cheeze karte hain, very simple three things, right? Now, this simple, it's not easy. Because it's not easy, we've written these books that Sanjeev ji was referring to. I'll show you the pictures at the end, but let me just quickly summarize these three steps. So step one, as I was saying,
this was the team wants Control L from you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So this was the first couple of years in India where we traveled around the country meeting the most fraudulent promoters in the country. We sat down with them over cups of chai, coffee, lassi, nimbu pani. They helped us understand how they steal money from the banking system, from mutual funds, from fund managers like ourselves. And using the inputs from these fraudulent promoters, we built a forensic framework, which is listed, which is shown on the table on the left hand side, right? So every year in December, the 12 forensic chartered accountants in Marcellus, they spend a good month applying this to the BSE 500, right? And we use 7 years of historic financials to put them through this framework. wherever we see issues with the companies, if the issues are serious, if the company is in the zone of thuggery, which is the bottom 40%, they immediately go out. Even in our portfolio stocks, if there are any of these 10 ratios where a red flag comes up, we sit down, look at it in detail, speak to the CFO, if need be, speak to the promoter. And if we can't satisfy ourselves that the company is clean, we check out of it, right? So this framework itself reduces India to around 100 stocks, right? Baki market mein stocks ko hum dur rakhte hain. 100 stocks is what the our framework says are worth looking at, right? The second thing is, it's not enough for a company to be clean, right? You also need companies to be allocating capital well. What does good capital allocation mean? In simple English, it means we need to invest in companies whose return on capital is consistently above the cost of capital. Right now, this is a big deal in India. Most Indian promoters, they can't do this. If you look at the Nifty 50, out of 50 promoters, 35 have not got their return on capital above cost of capital even once in the last decade, which means these companies throw off no surplus. Because they don't throw off a surplus, these companies haven't compounded earnings. As a result, Nifty 50 EPS growth across 1, 3, 5, and 10 years is 0%, right? So we do the reverse. We're looking for companies whose return on capital is above cost of capital every single year. Alongside that, we also need to see double-digit revenue growth. If the team at Marcellus use no brains at all, we just use this simple framework, right? Double-digit revenue growth, return on capital above cost of capital, our portfolio will generate 20 to 30% returns. And this is the framework that we've explained in Unusual Billionaires and Coffee Can Investing, right? The two books, Unusual Billionaires 2016, Coffee Can Investing 2018, use the framework without human interference, right? And I'm sure you must have come across many derivatives of this approach of investing, but at its essence, बहुत simple approach है. Now, the third layer is to take these stocks which are clean, which allocate capital, and then look for barriers to entry, look for monopolists. Now, let me just change to a slightly different slide on this, because there's a visual way to show you the power of monopolists in India. And let me just show you the power of monopolists using this slide. Let me get the share going again. Hang on. Share screen. Yeah. So around 3-4 years ago, we realized. I'm sorry, I'm not being able to do Control L. Hopefully, you can see the slide. For some reason, yeah, maybe it'll work now. Yeah. So 3-4 years ago, we realized that what's happening in our country is, gradually, every sector which sells essential products to you and me are getting monopolized, right? So the effect of that is very stark. The effect of this is very stark. If you see this chart on the left-hand side, in the early 90s, around the time my parents migrated from India, in the early 90s, the top 20 profit generators used to generate only 15% of India's profits, right? Then around 2010, around the time my colleagues and I migrated to India, right? Around 2010, the top 20 companies used to generate around 1/3 of India's profits. If you look at 2019, year ending March 19, the top 20 companies used to generate 2/3 of India's profits. And if you look at the current year, the current situation, we published a piece last week on Bloomberg showing that in 2020, the top 20 firms have generated 90% of India's profits, right? So these companies, where the books are clean, where the capital allocation is sensible, and where it's a monopolistic franchise, these companies are now taking home 90% of the country's profits. So therefore, at a very common sense level, folks, if you, I, our friends, relatives, our clients want to make money, obviously we have to align ourselves with these companies who are scooping up pretty much the entire country's profits. If you don't invest in these monopolistic franchises which are run in a clean way with good capital allocation, honestly, it'll be very difficult for you to make money in the market. Now, why has this happened to India? Why have 20-25 families ended up taking up almost all of our country's profits? And how can you and I make money from this on an ongoing basis? That's the core of what we do. That's in our books, and happy to get into that in greater detail. But the essence of what we do is extremely simple. Look for clean companies with good capital allocation, with high barriers to entry. If you get into these companies, you'll find that 20% compounding comes actually relatively easily. If you're one of those people who wants 30% compounding, I'm afraid this approach of investing won't work for you. You are welcome to try out other approaches. But we are investing, as I said, the life savings of around 5,000 families, and therefore our focus is on stable compounding at a steady rate year after year, and this approach works beautifully for us. So I'll stop there, Sanjeev ji. If you have questions on this approach, happy to elaborate further.
No, it's very interesting. As I think you had said it in one of the chats we had done earlier that, if you invest in a company, you actually have the best entrepreneur working for you. So, today, everybody in India can actually have the best of the India's best of the best
Absolutely.
working for them. All you have to do is buy a share in their company. And as they grow their company, and if they're holding 90% of India's profit, you can definitely be a part of that journey. So, Saurabh, given the where the market is at the moment, the markets are very, very high. There is a lot of liquidity which has come up. So, just explain to us a little bit about this liquidity, what is happening in the market, and I think probably you are one of the most smartest brains to figure it out. How will this play out? Because I have never seen a situation like that. Especially India is still, I think, a much more stable market, but US, you're looking at a company like a GameStop, going from 0 to 100, and that's so scary. And other stocks also, like we look at a stock, by the time I think about doing something, it's 3 times the value. How can a company grow by 300% in a day? So, what do you feel about this time? How do we maneuver in this time?
So, Sanjeev ji, I think both sides of the story are true. There are clearly significant pockets of danger in the market, and I'll talk about them in a minute. And there are also significant opportunities to make money in the next 2 to 3 years, right? I'll simplify it as much as I can, because I think from what I understand, it's a broad audience, from all parts of all walks of life listening to this. The biggest challenge, I think, is by and large the broader Indian market. If you look at the Nifty 50, as I said, Nifty 50 earnings growth has been close to zero, perhaps 1% for the last 10 years. But in that period, the Nifty has doubled. And why has it doubled? Part of it is this liquidity wave. Federal Reserve ने जब से Lehman Brothers बर्बाद हुई 2008 से 2008 to 2013, the Fed injected $4-5 trillion of liquidity, and in the last 12-13 months, the global central banks have injected another $10-11 trillion of liquidity, right? So the global wave of liquidity has allowed the Nifty to double in 10 years, even though earnings haven't grown at all. So profit मुनाफा में कोई growth हुआ नहीं है, but the index has doubled, right? Now, what does that imply? That implies the Nifty's PE multiple has more than doubled in the last 10 years. And that's easy to see. Anybody who's got, you can go onto any channel or Bloomberg, Reuters, आप देखोगे Nifty का PE double हो गया है, underlying earning support है ही नहीं. Now, why does this pose a risk? Let's look forward to the next 10 years. Okay? Let's look forward to the next 10 years. The return from any stock or index can be broken into two parts. First part is change in PE multiple, and the second part is change in earnings. So when PE multiple ऊपर गई or earnings ऊपर गई, दोनों ऊपर गए, you make lots of money, right? Now, change in PE multiple, let's focus on that. Let's assume for a minute the Nifty PE, which has doubled in the last 10 years, now stays flat for the next 10 years, right? And let's assume through some miracle, Nifty EPS growth, which has been zero for 10 years, suddenly becomes, say, 7-8%. So PE multiple flat at all-time highs, and EPS growth stable for EPS growth, say, rises to 7-8% for the next 10 years, right? If that happens, if you're a typical Nifty investor, large cap mutual fund investor, normal जो हमारे देश का निवेशक का जो mindset होता है, that sort of person, I think, will compound at a little higher than the rate of inflation. After tax, he will get same return as the rate of inflation, right? That's I think, a good case scenario. Now, if God forbid the Nifty PE were to halve in the next 10 years to go back to its long-term average, you're not going to make any money from the Nifty in that scenario over 10 years, right? And this has happened before, 93 to 2003. This is exactly what happened in our country. People who invested in the Sensex, 93 में Nifty नहीं था, but Sensex था. Sensex investors make 0% over 10 years. This is the worry that I have, right? Because 10 साल market चला है without any support from earnings growth. Even if you have earnings growth coming through strongly in the next 10 years, at the market level, I think returns will be weak. Now let's come to this monopoly paradigm I was referring to, right? We are investing in companies who are who have very high barriers to entry, who honestly, in practical terms, these companies have no competition. Right? TV में आके नहीं बोलेंगे for good reason, but you and I know in practical terms, these companies have no competition. Now, as a result, the return on capital is 45%. Let's assume for a minute, Sanjeev ji, cost of capital is 15%. That means the free cash flow in these franchises is 30% of capital employed. 1/3 promoter G is lending out, two-thirds of 30%, matlab 20%, promoter G is investing back in the business. These monopolies are compounding every single year at 20%. Right? So our consistent compounder portfolio, the presentations are on our website. There are lots of videos on this. You can see consistent compounder portfolio year after year after year, 20% EPS compounding ho raha hai. Why? Because promoter G is growing the factory at 20%. If the profits compound at 20%, you and I make 20% returns without any support from the PE multiple. Now let's assume that the next 10 years, just as with the Nifty, our stocks also don't show any PE improvement. We'll still make 20%. Let's assume, just like with the Nifty, PE multiple halves for us. If PE multiple halves for Nifty, investors watching this show will be lucky to make 0% return. If PE multiple halves on our portfolio, you'll still take home 13, 14, 15%. And guess what? That's exactly what happened from 93 to 03. 93 to 03, Sensex gave 0 return. The sorts of stocks we invest in, Asian Paints, Pidilite, HDFC Bank, they gave 13, 14% return. Right? And that's where I'm a little worried about this current situation. I'm seeing a lot of low quality stocks fly. Right? There are lots of IPOs of indifferent quality coming, and you can't blame the IPOs for coming. If I am a promoter with a weak company, I'm waiting for an opportunity like this, right? And therefore, मैं shape दूंगा अपना company ऐसे मौके को देखते हुए. But I think people watching this show need to be very careful. They don't get carried away by the market exuberance and go and invest in some low PE construction company where the promoter is saying, "Beta, आजा अपना पैसा लेके," and then he takes your money and is on the next flight to some West Indian island.
So, Saurabh, you're confident that even in this market, in the next 10 years, your portfolio will be able to, even if a person comes at this level, will be able to give more than a 10% return?
100%, sir.
You're saying 13. I'm saying let's even be today 10, 12 is also good here. But at the end of the day, even if you
confident
take
enough,
tax 10%, I think that's good enough.
So बातें तो सस्ती है हमारे देश में, उसको क्वांटिफाई करते हैं. So my entire life savings are split across Marcellus' 3 portfolios. Right? मेरा करीबन 60% saving is in the consistent compounder portfolio. Around 25% of my saving is in Kings of Capital, and around 15-20% of my saving is in Little Champs. Little Champs, folks, is shut to inflows. July से हमने बंद कर दिया है. We won't open Little Champs this year, so I'm sorry, but July में हमने उसको flow में बंद कर दिया है. Now, just like many other people, I too might get a bonus at the end of this month. Right? So I also get a salary from Marcellus. So at the end of this month, even if I don't get a bonus, I'm going to put more money in Marcellus's portfolios. If I get a bonus, I'll put all of that into Marcellus's portfolios. Now, why am I doing that? The reason I'm doing that is I know these companies inside out. I'm talking to these companies for the last 10 years. I know how hard these promoters work. I know I know how excited those promoters are by how much growth they are seeing in their business. इस प्रकार का ग्रोथ देख रहे हैं जो ग्रोथ 10 साल से दिखी नहीं है, right? And you saw this in the quarter to December results, right? In our consistent compounder portfolio, earnings growth was 35-40% for several companies. Average earnings growth in our CCP portfolio was 25-30%. In our Little Champs portfolio, average earnings growth was 30%. Right? And these are not adventurous companies. They're not doing some, leverage करके SPAC shack करके कुछ नहीं कर रहे. These are level-headed, ठंडे दिमाग के 50, 60, 70-year-old promoters who've seen it all for the last 50 years. Right? They're older than me. They are reinvesting their life's wealth back in their businesses. So if they are doing it at their age, why shouldn't I do it as an outsider? As you put it, I'm investing in India's finest promoters. If you look at it like that, I'm investing with people like Kuldeep Singh Dhingra Saab of Berger Paints. I'm investing with people like Murli Divi of Divi's Lab. I'm investing with people like Shashi Jagdishan of HDFC Bank, Uday Kotak साहब, right? अगर आप इन पे भरोसा नहीं करोगे भैया, किस पे भरोसा करोगे हिंदुस्तान में? मेरे समझ के बाहर है, right? So you'll have to find some, greater god to compound your wealth if you don't want to compound with champions like this. After living in India for 12, 13 years, I've realized that this is the caliber of promoter who can help me and my family get a better future. And hence, whatever savings I have, I keep plowing it back into our consistent compounder portfolio and our Kings of Capital portfolio.
There are some very interesting questions coming up, Ashok. Saurabh. So Ashok has posted quite an interesting question. You can read it on the screen. So he's saying, you have also answered this question a little bit. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. So the whole question, and if we club these questions together, people are saying that, do I invest at the moment? There are some people who, and how do I invest? So like a lot of these PMS, again, a lot of people have a question about how does the PMS investment work? Although I know Bajaj Capital is there to handhold and help people get into that. But the whole point is that, people want to know that PMS, will the money go in one flow? Will it, or can they do a sort of a systematic transfer? How do you look at the money? How will you be investing their money? So, so like people say there may be a big correction comes. And let me tell a story, before we get into this. Like, I had invested a lot of money in March. I invested a lot of money in April. Then I said, oh yeah, market has grown up. Then I decided, let me put my remaining money, over 6 months to 12 months. And in the way market has today, I feel like a fool because I missed out the returns because I was trying to go in a systematic manner. So that's also a huge problem. So sort of now answering this question that, what should people do today? If it was your money, would you put it in lump sum? Would you sequence it out? Which of your PMSs would you choose? And why would you choose that?
So let's just answer this market peak wala
sawal. Your money today, I want to put it in. What would you do with your own money today?
I'll answer that. So just to deal with Ashok Kumar ji ka sawal on the market peak. So as I said, right, the Nifty hasn't compounded earnings for a long time. Around 10 years, earnings compounding hasn't happened. And therefore, I'm honestly lost as to why I would invest my savings in the Nifty. I'm not going to put my family's hard-earned money in an index which shows 0% EPS growth in a decade in which Indian economy grew at 7%, right? It simply beats my, my parents will say, "Tere ko padhane likhane ka kya fayda hua if you're going to go and invest our money in an index which compounds earnings at 0%, right?" But the sorts of companies we are discussing so far, right? Asian Paints, Pidilite, HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, all of these are CCP constituents, will carry on happily investing in that because, as I said, their profits are hitting all-time highs every year. Their share price is hitting all-time high. Both numbers, profits and share prices, are broadly moving at 20%. So the analogy I will give you here is raising children, right? So I have 2 little bachchas. I've invested in their education over the last 10 years. And each year they get better and better. So were they stocks, right? कभी हमारे जैसे निवेशकों का होता है, बच्चों को भी सोचते हैं were they stocks, their share price would be hitting all-time highs, right? Now bachchas are in their early teens, they're doing ever so well in their school, they're doing ever so well in sports. Will I now say all-time high aa gaya hai, now I'm going to cut my investment? I'll say no, I've got another 20, 30 years. If I keep investing in them, if I keep backing them, they will go on to achieve great things in life. And that's how we invest in our companies. We rarely do any buying, selling. Just as we raise bachchas with prayers, with affection, with care, with diligence, that's how we invest in our companies as well, right? We build long-term relationships with the companies. We get to know them inside out, and they reward us by working hard to compound our wealth, right? That's how you need to see investment, not as some lottery. Jahan pe main aaj ghusa kal nikal gaya. If you do that, it's going to be very tough in India. This is a country where it's a relationship-oriented country. Sanjeev ji has spoken about how he builds relationship with other business people. We build relationships with the companies we invest in. We help them in whatever little way we can. They help us by compounding our wealth year after year. Now let's come to which portfolio. So the 2 portfolios where we are taking money, Consistent Compounders and Kings of Capital, they serve slightly different purposes. consistent compounder is the dal chawal portfolio. Honestly, for everybody who's watching this, wherever you are in the world, this has to be the foundation of your portfolio. These are companies selling day-to-day livelihood, life ke essential products and services with enormous market share, enormous competitive advantages, right? HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, Divi's Lab, Dr. Lal Path Labs, Relaxo, right? These are the sorts of companies. These are companies which grow regardless of whether COVID is spreading or malaria, regardless of who's ruling America, what China is doing to India. These companies continue compounding with low volatility. This should be your dal chawal portfolio. If you haven't invested, please make this the foundation of your portfolio. We don't charge you any fixed fees. Up to 8% returns. We don't take any fees from you. We make money if we deliver for you returns above 8%. Now, the Kings of Capital portfolio is the main course. Right? Dal chawal हमने ले लिया है. Now we come to the main course, right? The sabji or the non-veg dish, depending on your dietary persuasion, right? This should be around, if consistent compounders is around 60% of your portfolio, Kings of Capital should be 20-30% of your portfolio. Why is that? The Kings of Capital companies are also very stable, but they are specific to one sector. The largest sector in our country, financial services, जो हमारे economy का 25% of Indian GDP, 1/3 of the stock market is financial services. The Kings of Capital companies are the cleanest, best run lenders, asset managers, life insurers, and brokers available in India. Again, stable 12 stock portfolio, compounding at around 25% or so, right? As I said, the way I have decided to do it was, I put half my wealth, a little over half my wealth in consistent compounder, the stable foundation, dal chawal. And then I said 30 odd percent in Kings of Capital. Little Champs, were it open, would have been the rabdi malai, would have been the sweet dish. But unfortunately, because they had too much client interest coming in from folks like Bajaj Capital, we stopped taking money in Little Champs. So the rabdi malai is off the dish. That you'll have to find in some other restaurant. In our place, we're suggesting to you, for every 100 rupees you have, 2/3 should go into CCP, 1/3 into Kings of Capital.
And so I think, again, a lot of, very interesting questions that, there's a question on international markets. Would you like to take that? There's a gentleman called Pandi who's put in a, very interesting question, which actually excites me a lot. That what about companies like Google, Apple, Facebook? These are companies which are going to dominate the world. So, and they're already at an amazing valuation. Do you think they can double, triple from here?
So obviously, a very interesting question from Pandi Saab.
These are global consistent compounders.
So that's a fair point, sir. I was going to say that look for monopolists wherever you invest in the world. For Christ's sakes, don't take your hard-earned money, whether you're investing in India or outside India. Look for monopolists. पैसा उसी को दीजिए, उसी में निवेश कीजिए. Invest only in monopolies. But one caveat here, folks: global monopolists get to around 20% ROC. Right, so the sorts of companies Pandi Saab is mentioning get to around 20% return on capital employed. An Indian monopolist does not step out of his house for 20% ROC. He sends his driver to run a business with 20% ROC. India mein monopolist expects 30% ROC minimum, and the typical Indian monopolist we invest in has return on capital of 45%. Right, which means the Indian monopolist delivers twice the free cash flow of the global monopolist Pandi Saab is referencing in his question, right? Imagine the irony. So the whole world is jumping up and down about the FANG stocks and so on. Back home in India, the Indian monopolist is setting the cash register ringing all the time with 2x, more than double the ROC of the global monopolist. But the Indian monopolist is chup-chap doing it. No shosha, no spreading the word on media. Chup-chap, he's setting the cash register ringing with double the ROC of the global monopolist. And therefore, the way we have thought about doing it, for ourselves, we don't do global investing for clients, is for every 3 rupees I have in India, 1 rupees I can invest with global monopolists. The Indian monopolists, in simple English, the Indian monopolists compound much faster than global monopolists. Why? Because their free cash flow is double that of the global monopolists, which allows them to compound faster. Right? So don't get caught by the razzmatazz. by the glamour of the Western markets. As I said, no, we're civilizationally थोड़ा सा हम challenged है. You give people in India Western book and investing, immediately they start reading it. You say Indian fellows written it, they say agenda क्या है इसके पीछे, right? So it's remarkable, right? So don't get caught away with the razzmatazz. We've got very powerful monopolists in our country who are compounding faster than the FANG stocks. Just that these fellows are really chalu. They will not spread the word on in popular media. You just have to read their annual report and realize how powerful the Indian monopoly compounding machines are.
Very, very well answered. So, let's take next question, which is a very typical question, which is about equity versus debt. So there's a question by this gentleman called Madhusudan. If you can put it on screen, team. Again, I think this is for the interest of the public. This is something, although for us, this is like a day-to-day thing, but we must answer this because this, I'm sure, is there in the mind of a lot of investors.
So look, I mean, for me, this is an easy question to answer. I've never quite understood why people invest in corporate debt products. मेरे को honestly समझ नहीं आता because I've seen the risk-reward trade-off. It does not stack up for me. Right? If I invest in a corporate debt fund, Sanjeev ji, corporate debt fund, अच्छा corporate debt fund कितना 7-8% मिलेगा? 7-8% would be the return on a corporate debt fund. What will I do with 7-8% का return? मतलब, I mean, that's good for my fixed deposit. Say I'll get 5-6%. Right? Why should I, for 200 bips extra, take default risk? I've never understood this point. Furthermore, for wealth compounding, you can have government bond mutual funds. There are really good government bond mutual funds which you can use for your safe harbor money. The money that you're saying I'm salting away if something happens to me or my family, you can have government bond mutual funds and FDs for that. But beyond that, I've never quite understood what role corporate debt funds play in retail investors' portfolio. Honestly, मेरे को समझा नहीं है ये चीज. 12 साल से मैं सोचने की चेष्टा कर रहा हूँ. Because the extra pickup you get in yield is simply not commensurate to the default risk you're having to take, right? And all of us know that the underlying markets in which corporate debt is traded are very illiquid. So it's not an exciting product from a yield perspective, return perspective, and I'm getting default risk, corporate default risk. Why bother? Go and invest in the equity piece of promoters of the sort we have discussed on this show. People like the best promoters in the country, the best entrepreneurs who built extremely powerful cash generative machines. By the way, the volatility of consistent compounders, the volatility of our CCP portfolio is similar to a 10-year Government of India bond. So if I give you two products, same volatility, but the CCP product is generating 20% return, on average this year to 50% आया है, but average में मानो 20% return, and the government bond fund or the corporate debt fund is giving you 8% return, same volatility, 8 versus 20. The answer, I hope, becomes clear there.
Yeah, so very well answered. And I think, see, this question of debt, okay, guys, please understand, my views are also very, very similar, but we are different people. See, it is as per your risk appetite. So me and Saurabh are the people who risk, we are entrepreneurs. He started his venture when he was, less than 30. And, we are the people who risk we are high risk takers. So, for us, we don't understand, for me also, I truly don't understand debt because, for me, debt, I'm also taking a call on the company that its ability to repay me. And at the same time, so I might as well take a call on the equity, so that's the way I look at it. And when you talk about the sovereign bonds and all these, I would rather, in India, we are living in India, we have products like EPF, we have like PPF, which are giving you 8.5% tax free. Take that. Or, like as Bajaj Capital, we don't make any money. People here are looking at index funds where they charge you 0.2 basis points or 0.5 basis point. You have a product called NPS, National Pension System, where you save 30 to 40% tax and they charge you 0.01%, and 50% money is in debt, 50% money is in equity. You have good enough, you're having such. So point is, guys, take these products for your debt allocation. I think there are many more innovative ways to do your debt investments than buying treasury bonds. And ye hota hai ki, see, when the markets are rising, every person who's invested in debt feels like a fool. And when the markets are falling, every person who's invested in debt feels like a king. So yes, you need to have some amount of debt in your portfolio, but I think there are more interesting ways you can do debt in India, which are giving you a better return. So now taking, we don't have time to take too many questions. We are really enjoying this, but we don't, since this is a recorded conversation which has to be online, we don't want to make it too long. But Saurabh, one couple of last questions that people are asking: can you do invest in PMS via the SIP route? How much
Sure.
do you charge above 8%? If returns? And let me just, before I hand over to you, let me just say one thing, guys. Okay, guys, people like Saurabh, are better ways to invest in the market because they are putting so much effort behind doing research for you, and they are charging something from you only when they give you returns. And if you are not going to pay, imagine you're working in a company and the company says, I will not pay your salary. Why would that company work? Why would good people work for you? So at the end of the day, if you want to succeed in life, learn to pay an advisor, learn to pay a fees to a fund manager, learn to pay fees to a company like Bajaj Capital. At the end of the day, if they are adding value, what does a Bajaj Capital do is that it keeps you stable, it keeps you invested when, it doesn't let you panic at the end of the day. So it is very, very important to have advisors and pay them a fees. But these two questions have been asked, Saurabh, so handing them over to you before I do the closing.
I'm also enjoying myself, but let me answer these two questions, then I'll also run to my next engagement. So, when we first address the point on fees, so up to 8% returns, we don't charge anything. Whatever returns we generate for you in excess of 8, right? Whatever returns we generate for you in excess of 8, we take 20% of that. So, for example, if we generate 15%, our fees will be 15 minus 8 is 7. 1/5 of 7 is 1.4. 1.4 will be our fee. 13.6 will be your return, right? So that's the fee structure dealt with. We offer you to, beyond putting a lump sum in our portfolio management services, you can invest in two other ways. One is we've created a unique product called STP, where rather than investing 50 lakhs in one go, you give us 50 lakhs, we put, or 50 lakhs, whatever amount you want to give us, you give us over 50 lakhs. We put 1/5 of that in the stocks, 4/5 we put in liquid funds, and every month for the next 4 months, we keep putting 1/5 in the stocks. So your money does not enter the stock market in one shot. If you want to take the STP option, it's your choice. If you want to take the STP option, systematic transfer option, you give us the corpus at the outset. We only put 1/5 in the first month, and in the subsequent 4 months, we put 1/5, and in 5 months, your money is gradually staggered into the market. This is the STP option. Finally, we also give you an SIP option, where provided you established a 50 lakhs corpus with us, which is the SEBI minimum, provided you establish the 50 lakhs corpus with us, you can do a monthly SIP with us, an amount which suits you, so that every month from your salary, from your savings as a business person, you're dripping your savings into our PMS, and you build the SIP habit with us. And as you know, dollar cost averaging or ongoing steady investment is a good way to compound your wealth. So hope to see many of you as Marcellus clients, and thank you, Sanjeev ji, for hosting me. It's a wonderful show today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saurabh. I think it was amazing. There are a lot of questions we couldn't answer. So I would say, guys, please keep watching Fantastic Talks. We'll like to have Saurabh back, and we'll definitely answer all your questions. And we'll also be having great people, because it's all about learning. We are living in a digital world where, as Saurabh told you, how earlier just to even read a report was so difficult. And today you can just be watching on your computer. You can learn a lot. So guys, just take away from today, choose good fund managers, choose good advisors. And as I always say, learn about investing. So whether you're doing CFA, CFP, great. But if you can't do that, we have a program called Be Fantastic, where we are creating our own competitors. And, we are teaching people how to invest, how to learn, because we don't want anybody to lose in this journey. The reason people lose in this journey is because they don't know how to invest. At the end of the day, or they are so naive that somebody may make a fool of them. So at the end of the day, guys, you must know basics yourself, otherwise you cannot win. It's like taking a part in a maths Olympiad and wanting to do well if you don't know what maths is. So please check out Bajaj Capital's befantastic.com. please do a basic program. If you don't have the knowledge, if you love this world, then do a CFA, CFP, a global certification if you want to become a professional. But otherwise, even if as an investor, you need to have that basic knowledge and skill to win in this market. Thank you for being there with us on the Fantastic Talks. I'm sorry we were not able to take all the questions, and we were not able to take questions about specific companies. But it's great to have all of you, and please keep watching, and I hope we are adding value to you, and I promise that we'll be having fantastic people coming here, and there'll be a huge amount of learning. So wishing you all the best. Thank you, and great to be a